the world's most dangerous criminal organizations, are currently responsible for 75% of illegal drug distribution in Mexico. Greetings everyone, today, we are going to talk about one of the most dangerous transnational criminal organizations in the world. Mexico's largest drug cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. If you find this video interesting, please support us by hitting the like button. Now, let's get started. Originally, the Sinaloa Cartel was Mexico's largest drug cartel. However, another organization rapidly rose to challenge the Sinaloa Cartel, which had dominated Mexico for many years. Today, we delve into the operations and history of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, commonly known as CJNG. It's the largest drug cartel in Mexico, boasting over 20,000 members and assets exceeding $50 billion. However, many believe its actual influence and size to be even greater. In addition to drug trafficking, the CJNG rakes in huge sums of money through human trafficking and other illegal activities. The CJNG has purchased and is training a large number of modern weapons, including armored vehicles and unmanned military attack vehicles. Many of their weapons have been modified, and some of their latest armaments remain undisclosed. The CJNG is a global criminal organization, operating over 100 drug trafficking facilities in Mexico and extending its operations to the United States. Recently, the CJNG released a video showcasing their armored vehicles and weapons, and it became a topic of conversation that their combat power is now equivalent to that of an army. The CJNG is also notorious for its cruelty, and its recruits undergo the most brutal initiation rituals and training imaginable. They undergo intense training designed to desensitize them to moral considerations, enabling them to eliminate their enemies without hesitation. I won't delve into the details due to their graphic nature, but many of you might have come across them on the internet. Capitalizing on the vulnerabilities of the Sinaloa Cartel, the relatively new CJNG has seen rapid growth. How did they become the largest cartel in history? In the 1990s, the Avocado cartel grew rapidly, a huge amount of money from drug trafficking and smuggling. Since then, the Avocado cartel has been dubbed the Millennial Cartel. However, in the 2000s, it lost the power struggle and came under the aegis of the Sinaloa cartel, the largest cartel in Mexico at the time. Later, the boss was arrested and another leader, Ignacio Coronel Villarreal, was shot dead by government forces. With the loss of the boss, the Millennial Cartel splits up around La Resistencia and Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, aka El Mencho. At this time, the force that split around El Mencho is the CJNG. After the split, the CJNG aligned with the Sinaloa Cartel, while the factions from La Resistencia allied with the Zetas cartel. El Mencho waged a fierce struggle with La Resistencia. Los Zetas was a cartel that rose to power with ruthless cruelty. It also resorted to cruel means in its struggle against the CJNG. The brutality was so severe that bereaved families of those whose families had been killed by Los Zetas began to rally to the CJNG. In the process, the CJNG also began to use cruel means, and with the support of the Sinaloa cartel, the CJNG began to overwhelm Los Zetas, which expanded its strongholds while also fighting cartels other than Los Zetas. As a means of deterring its enemies, instead of attacking, the CJNG forced all organizations and groups operating in its territory to identify themselves as CJNG. With few organizations able to resist the rampaging CJNG, which even took control of the former Millennial Cartel's smuggling routes, the CJNG further expanded its power. Believing they could dominate, the CJNG severed its alliance with the Sinaloa Cartel. The legendary drug kingpin, who had led the Sinaloa Cartel since the 1980s, was arrested in 1993, escaped from prison, and remained on the run for 13 years. Before being imprisoned in the United States in 2017, the Sinaloa Cartel reigned supreme in Mexico, but with its boss on the run for 13 years. The organization was on shaky ground. In 2011, the rising CJNG clashed with the Sinaloa Cartel in their Jalisco stronghold. After winning the war against the Sinaloa cartel, the CJNG began to make a name for itself throughout Mexico and the world. Despite confronting various cartels and accumulating numerous adversaries, the CJNG's growth and expansion remain alarmingly robust. According to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the CJNG is now responsible for 75% of the illegal distribution of drugs in Mexico. And its reach extends to the U.S., Europe, Asia, and Australia. The decline of the Sinaloa cartel is one reason, but CJNG has also been able to change its core products in response to market consumption trends. Drugs are not the only products that the cartels deal in. They will try anything if they smell money. Many of the things we consume on a daily basis, without thinking about it, are also involved with criminal organizations. A typical example is avocados. Mexico accounts for almost 34% of the world's avocado production, and is the nation's main industry, earning $2.5 billion annually. For the past few years, the CJNG has been engaged in a fierce battle over farm concessions, levying huge taxes on avocado farms in exchange for promises not to attack. Back to the story, CJNG, now equipped with capital and fighting power, even bought out government officials, and El Mencho's influence grew and grew. In addition, the CJNG began to hire Mexican federal police and army officials, as well as many active and retired military personnel, as members or soldiers, and began to train and arm itself to the level of a pure military force. This means that state intelligence is also in the hands of the CJNG. Transparency International has stated that the biggest factor in Mexican government corruption is the enormous amount of bribes. The CJNG has grown so influential that it appears to overshadow even the president's authority, posing a significant threat to Mexico's governance. While movies and dramas often depict criminal organizations facing downfall from their adversaries, the reality is often more terrifying than fiction. In recent years, drones customized with explosives have devastated villages under rival cartel control, and these modified drones have also targeted police forces, marking a terrifying evolution in cartel warfare and putting innocent civilians at greater risk. Partly because of the outrageous level of armament, but also because of the horrific brutality that no one has been able to counter the CJNG. Surprisingly, however, the Mexican population is also friendly to the CJNG. This is because the CJNG, not the state, is the one that distributes gifts to citizens at Christmas. Dressed as Santa Claus, helps the poor with daily necessities and school supplies, and builds schools in their villages. There's a $10 million bounty on the current CJNG boss, El Mencho, the highest ever for a drug-related offender. El Mencho's wife, son, and brother have all been arrested, but El Mencho remains at large. Simple numbers reveal the catastrophic situation in Mexico, characterized by a corrupt and powerless government. Mexico ranks 1st through 8th among the top 10 most dangerous cities in the world, with homicides reaching 26,000 per year in 2022. That means an average of 71 murders per day. The actual number is probably much higher. Most of the important crimes that occur in Mexico are due to cartel conflicts. So, if we say that Mexico would be peaceful if there were no cartels, it is not so. This significantly impacts the influence both the Mexican government and the United States wield in the region. This underlying issue is why, despite the might of the United States government, neither Mexico nor the United States can eradicate criminal organizations, including cartels. In the case of Mexico, years of corruption have allowed the cartels to manipulate the government. In the United States, due to the significant damage caused by drugs, many are urging Mexico to tackle its drug cartels. Former President Donald Trump even announced plans to address Mexico's drug cartels if he were to be re-elected in the 2024 presidential election. However, President Obrador of Mexico has countered, stating such actions infringe on Mexican sovereignty, and he won't permit United States troops on Mexican soil. This stance, which aligns closely with the cartel's argument, raises questions about the president's own views and the influence of cartels on political rhetoric. I hope you found this overview of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, Mexico's largest and most notorious drug crime organization, both insightful and informative. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. Take care and see you in the next video. Goodbye.